Before humans understood wisdom, before stories had names, and before knowledge walked freely across the earth, there lived a being so small yet so clever that even the gods learned to watch him closely. His name was Anansi. In the ancient lands of West Africa, among the Akan people of what is now Ghana, Anansi was known as a spider, a spirit, and sometimes a man. He was not feared for strength nor respected for size, yet his mind was sharper than claws, and his words more dangerous than thunder. Anansi was born between sky and earth. His father was Niam, the great sky god, ruler of rain, sun, moon, and destiny. His mother was Asais, the earth goddess, keeper of soil, life, and fertility. From the sky, he learned observation. From the earth, he learned survival. But Anansi learned something no other being dared to master. He learned how to think. While other gods ruled with force, Anansi watched silently. While beasts relied on muscle, Anansi relied on wit. He saw patterns where others saw chaos, and he understood that intelligence could bend reality. Though small, Anansi walked among giants. Though weak, he defeated the strong, not with weapons, but with words, not with strength, but with traps of the mind. This is why the ancestors called him the Trickster. Yet Anansi was not a hero. He was greedy, he was selfish, he desired praise, wealth, and recognition. He tricked friends as easily as enemies, and sometimes his lies caused pain. But even in his selfishness, Anansi shaped the world. When he defeated stronger beings, he taught humans that power does not always belong to those who dominate. When he tricked the mighty, he gave hope to the powerless. And when he laughed at danger, he showed that fear itself could be deceived. Anansi could change form. He was never bound to one body. Sometimes he crawled as a spider, weaving webs that mirrored fate itself. Other times he walked as a man, smiling, speaking softly, appearing harmless. And sometimes he existed as both man and spider, at once a creature between worlds, because Anansi lived between God and spirit, animal and human, truth and deception. He belonged everywhere and nowhere at the same time. In those days, all the stories of the world belonged to Niam, the sky god. Humans lived without myths, without lessons, without memory passed through words, and Anansi wanted those stories. So Anansi climbed into the sky and stood before his father. He asked Niam to sell him the stories of the world. Niam laughed, for he believed the request impossible. Niam demanded a price. Meant to humble Anansi, he commanded him to capture Onini, the deadly python, Osibo, the fierce leopard, Mabaro, the swarm of hornets, and Moesha, the invisible forest spirit. Niam believed Anansi would fail, but Anansi did not fight. He tricked. He convinced the python to stretch itself for measurement, then bound it. He dug a pit and lured the leopard with false promises. He fooled the hornets with shelter and rain, trapping them in a gourd, and he captured the unseen forest spirit using clever deception. One by one, Anansi returned victorious. Niam had no choice. He gave Anansi all the stories of the world. From that day forward, stories belonged to humanity. Myths, wisdom, laughter, warnings, and lessons flowed freely across the earth. Anansi became the master of stories. When Africans were enslaved and carried across oceans, they carried Anansi with them. His tales survived chained ships and suffering in the Caribbean. He became Anansi in the Americas. He became Aunt Nancy and Brr Rabbit. Anansi taught the enslaved that intelligence could resist oppression. He showed them how humor could hide rebellion, and how survival often belonged to the clever, not the strong. But the ancestors warned Anansi was never good. Anansi was never evil. He was both. Sometimes his tricks brought wisdom, other times they brought chaos. He gave stories, but he also spread greed. He taught cleverness, but also selfishness. And there's one story rarely told, a story of a trick that went too far, a trick so dangerous that even Niam intervened, a trick that explains why Anansi fell from favor, why spiders hide in corners, and why the gods no longer trust him. That story is whispered only at night, because once you hear it, you may never see wisdom the same way again. And in the next tale, we will uncover the moment Anansi crossed the gods and paid a terrible price.